Hey everyone, welcome to the Clydesdale After Dark. We are back for the release of the team quarterfinal events, and I have with me my buddy Charlie and our friends Dex Hopkins and Cheryl Nasso.
What's up?
And so the first thing I want to mention is they were announced, and they actually were announced like on a YouTube show where you could actually watch it, unlike the individual. That's a little odd, right? We don't announce it for the individual. You just got to go look at the workouts. They actually had a show with Andy Sakamoto and Sean Woodland today, releasing these exact same workouts that we saw 3 weeks ago.
Surprise! Nothing's different.
Well, it's kind of cool because I'm like finding it all out, boom, right now because I like got off my last client call like 2 minutes ago, and here I am. So this is my first introduction to everything, and I saw them as I was signing on here, and I was like, okay.
Surprise, Cheryl! It's like it's gonna. I want to see some memes for this. John Woolley is gonna go nuts.
Oh God!
But there's a little nuance. I mean, I can't believe there's so little effort put into these. Like, that is mega disappointing, especially like if I was, active shoes on my feet. Hey, I'm about to do the team workouts. I've already done these workouts. I mean, I guess it's cool that I can try to improve those scores or the nuanced things, but I think there's a really powerful word some people like or hate to see or love to see, depending on the team you're on, and what the difference is between your strongest player and your weakest player, and that's synchro. Make literally any of those workouts could be so much better team-wise to test the team and not just test your individual merit again with the same workouts. Maybe there's a tiny step or rotation that maybe you'll pick up the speed, but I mean, it's still kind of an individual thing. I think on the first workout, it's like Cheryl does a round, I do a round. That's how you go through that. So, I mean, you having to manage the muscle fatigue is kind of taken out. So then again, it comes down to just a sprint execution race. The GHD one, which was, I think kind of irresponsibly programmed for the first part for an inclusive workout. Now it's just kind of descending reps of the same movements as teams of two. But I mean, that's pretty disappointing, the amount of effort they would put into making the, successful first stage of the quarter, or first, implement of the quarterfinals for individual. And this is kind of like you copy and pasted somebody else's homework to turn in late. Like, I don't know. It's weird.
Now, is it hard to do the synchro single pistols? I mean, how difficult?
So on teams that I was on, so say I'm the worst at pistols, right? I'm 6'2", most of the time over 220. My wife, Riverdance Pistols, I've joked about before, not a joke. Erica Spitz, also a break dance pistol person. And whether it was Melissa Doss was good at them, and we had another lady named Jenny Bradford, but literally everybody was better than me. Chris Walker was about the same as me, maybe a little faster. But I mean, it's, depending on how, because girls are normally better just because, I mean, guys come in with, strength and tension. Girls come in with range of motion and everybody's got to meet in the middle. So I'd say those are tough to synchro. But I mean, strict handstand push-ups, man, historically at regionals, that's been a big manager of teams, right? It's normally a pairs workout where you have to manage it. Or even not that it was synchro. Maybe Cheryl and I are partners. We both have to kick up. I've got to be holding the handstand while she's going. Just any kind of implement to keep somebody from standing around to where, the show goes on, and more so that there's a team test, not an individual test. And that's always been my, I'm for the conga line stuff, but my favorite head and shoulders above every event is things where you have to communicate, work together, and you have to put the team puzzle together. How do we work together, move together, strategize the breaks, because we have to do it synchro, play to our strengths and manage our weaknesses and things like that. And I think that's the game. And, there's just a lot more experimentation that could have went on with this as far as that is. I mean, it's kind of disappointing, but I mean, I benefit of the doubt. First year they're doing quarterfinals for teams. And now seeing that more and more of the sanctionals are going to online. I think there were 3 more, Lowlands, Asia, and there was one other one that went to online. Maybe it'll be a good thing for people to learn from, and there'll be some cool stuff come out of that for years to come if this is going to be the set flow. But I'm as a team guy, man, I'm pretty disappointed in just the copy and paste deal.
What are your thoughts, Cheryl?
Funny because like I feel where he's coming from, but I honestly want to give the workouts an opportunity to honestly change our minds. And I honestly think that I want to like kind of get into our date, our, one by one, because I think that there is opportunities for teams to strategize. I haven't even finished looking at the workouts. I just started with 1 and 2. And I do think that there is some good team components here in figuring out how to get the best score for your team, how to tag people in, how to strategize, who needs more rest. Like, I think that there are things that you can actually do with some of these workouts. And like I said, I haven't finished looking at them yet, but I do think that even though what I'm unhappy with is I would have liked to see different movements or different combinations for the mere sake that, like, as an athlete that I know that Dex can understand and relate to, is like when we did have regionals and you were getting ready for, maybe you were in the 3rd week of regionals for an entire month. If you were on a team or you were not, you were practicing the same movements over and over and over again. And it wasn't testing fitness. It was testing how good you can get at these specific movements together as a team or as an individual. And it becomes almost like boring. And even from a spectator standpoint, when you go to a regionals level competition and you're watching the individuals do a workout, it was always nice that at the regionals, the teams would often do similar combinations, but in different, like, for instance, I think one year the individuals had Tommy V, the rope climb thruster workout, and individuals, they mixed something different up where they got something similar, but it wasn't the same thing, So I think it's just really cool it would have been a cool idea to have been able to change them a little bit and still get the same movements or the same type of movements in, just to kind of give the spectators and the people that do watch this stuff, which I know this really isn't the spectator aspect of things, but giving people something different. That was my initial thoughts.
Yeah, I remember going to regionals a lot, and the individuals would do a 1 rep mech snatch and the teams would do cleans.
Yeah.
So as a spectator, you get to see something different throughout the day. I remember how disappointed people were the first year Dubai brought teams in, and it was just all the individual stuff done in a relay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think they're setting that tone for the season. Is that what we're going to see now I guess obviously the sanctionals or the next stage is the semifinals. I guess they're all individually, they can figure out the workouts themselves, but going into the games, like even the games team workouts, like people aren't going to want to see the same movements over and over again. They're going to want to see variants. I mean, that's why we like CrossFit, right? We get bored doing the same shit over and over again. So we want to see different things. So anyways, that's my thought.
Let me propose this idea. Do you think there needs to be a different programmer for teams than there is for individual?
I don't know if it's different. I mean, I've always been of the mindset it should not be one person. I thought it should always be by committee.
Yeah.
And I know they, as more and more comes out behind the curtain with the Wizard of Oz, like I know, now they'll say it's not 100% Dave or yada, yada, yada. But yeah, I mean, and I, as a person who's had to program team workouts, I know it's tough, especially when it was a 6-person team, like making that exciting to even do it, tons of moving parts. Now, the sexiness of doing the 4-person team is that frees you up for a lot of stuff. I mean, I think the sanctionals we went to, France and Ireland, I thought the program was awesome. Some of them were relays, like the workout you guys were talking about. Scott, the year they had Tommy V, we did a conga line type workout, right? So it was some person did 21-15-9, and I think it was 15-12. Some people use a leg, some people had to do legless, and that was, the flow of it. And I'm not against that stuff. I think, like Cheryl said, I'm on board with they cannot absolutely be workouts. There are implements that, there are moving pieces you can move around to make sure you get the best score. But it's going to be like, making your tallest to shortest or whatever the strength is for the workout, putting those people in order. And that's pretty much it. There's going to be a weird governor. But I think the sanctionals, as far as setting the tone for the season, I think these, Dave and committee, I think they have some people helping with team stuff. Maybe I know they're pretty hush hush about that stuff traditionally, but the sanctionals, I want to say this year they said, or semifinals, excuse me. I know they're going to have to be approved by CrossFit. Is that what we heard?
That is correct.
So I'll be interested to see how that goes. Cause I mean, again, if they're online, all bets are kind of off, but I know in my brain, when we had to go, by God, I didn't want to go swim. right? And I think all of us were kind of that mindset. But, and I think most are, unless you're just like your team's all former collegiate swimmers or you're just part dolphin or whatever. But, I think that was part of the fun. And that's why when I heard they were, Chandler was talking about them, hey, they're going to, somebody had mentioned and it had gotten out that they were going to slot people based on storyline, which I think initially the premise was, hey, guys, quarterfinals will be the seeding process. It'll be, Chandler wins. He's going to go to X one. Then Noah gets to pick. He goes to this one, and they go down the line and kind of recycle it through till all the slots are filled, in your continent. But so I'll be interested to see. I mean, traditionally, and especially in the last 2 years when they've been doing sanctionals, I've enjoyed watching the team stuff. I mean, I think Waterpalooza does an awesome job of incorporating everybody in the team. I didn't get to make it to that one this year with my team, but Tim Paulson filled in, man. And they had to do it was a lot like the individual workout. 2 people hang, 1 person rest, the other person's doing muscle ups with the bag and things like that. So big team component like the individual workout. I don't mind it being the same, but make it the team stuff, right? I told you that, look, that cuss word, synchro, that's a wrench to throw in any team's thing, especially if, you're all of similar strength or, there's a big disparity in the skill range. So
yeah.
I think
we should
that
take the workouts down.
I think that goes to my question about the programming is all these sanctionals from the last couple of years have had creative looks at the team competition. Mm-hmm. And we've had the same programmer for 15 years.
That's a good point.
That's true. That is a good point. I mean, Dubai stuff after, I want to say the year Travis and the girl and Andrea and Taylor and who was it, Roy and Cody and all them, I thought that was a pretty good year.
But Rich programmed that.
Yeah, which was great. And that's what I was getting at. I mean, I don't think it's bad to bring someone in. And I mean, they put enough stuff out to know, and I think he writes all that stuff. And, Rich is not a dummy. He's a CSCS guy, very much knows what he's talking about beyond a CrossFit, like the CrossFit answer. But I don't know if they do that or not. I'm going to I'll ask some questions and dig in, but the sanctionals to me have had cooler, spectator friendly, more fun to do workouts than traditionally they've had, especially for stuff like this. The well of workouts you can draw from for a quarterfinal like this, if you're going to recycle anything, right? All these years of regionals, where the turd workouts are, where the good workouts are. And now you've got 2 years of sanctionals to where someone who is not you has programmed something that maybe you just didn't think of. Like I've been in a rut programming. I keep the list of every movement and check it off and, time domains and task priority, blah, blah, blah. But you've got such a well of things you could copy and paste now. I don't see why you would do the same thing as you just did 2 weeks ago.
I agree. And I also think the programming aspect of things, like I've been wondering this too, with Noble being brought on as like the new title sponsor, like, are they going to try and build some kind of a committee with, I mean, I don't know, like how much pull are they going to have with the CrossFit Games now that they've got, a lot of the comp train athletes, Ben Bergeron's athletes are Noble. You got the Proven crew, which is Shane Orr, and that's a lot of his athletes now. So I'm just curious to see what's going to happen, because I think now that CrossFit is trying to maybe grow to be more professional in that aspect of things, this is our committee for the affiliates, and I'm hoping that they're going to build something like that for the games. And that there should be a committee for team programming and individual programming, or, at the end of the day, like the tests are very different for a team than an individual. You're testing work capacity, but you're testing also that team's ability to work together and maintain composure and be able to, because I know you and I have been on a team where it's like you have that person that like maybe isn't fully committed to like, or just that stress of like, there's so many other things going on, and the alphas and the people that are like just whatever, and like there's so many different things that when you're on a team with somebody, like I will say this, like you become a better person because you have to be so well-rounded as an individual to be able to know that your personality is not going to be the same as somebody else's, and that's okay. And you guys are going to come together and it's all going to make sense on game day. Like I remember practicing synchronized chest to bar pull-ups with Sean Tully, whose wingspan was longer than yours. And I'm like, dude, my pull-up rate is like this. And his was so slow. And we would go back and practice every single day. And he was like, I'm burned out by pull-ups. Like, I don't care. We're doing it again. And it never worked well. And then all of a sudden on game day, we were like, oh my God, we finally got it. You know, like that's the camaraderie of it. So it is different for sure. But
yeah. It'll be interesting to see, man. I don't know. Just I'm bamboozled by the copy and paste. It's so weird.
Agreed.
Yeah,
and is this what we're going to see for the Masters now? Like,
sorry guys, here's the workouts you've done 3 times. Hope you're not on a team or did the Indy quarterfinals.
Yeah. So.
See, I think that's, you know, in every interview I've seen with Dave Castro, he says he doesn't look at any other programming. He doesn't want to be influenced by that. And I understand you don't want to be influenced, but maybe it gives you an idea that you didn't think of.
Yeah, which is fine. I don't think you have to know it all.
Here's the deal. You don't look at any other programming. You're not the first person that came up with doing ring muscle ups and rope climbs. Mm-hmm. Where did Greg Glassman get his foundational movements of CrossFit from? Other programming. Yeah. He blended it all together to create this amazing thing that helped people get fit and have fun with it. And it became competitive. And like, so at the end of the day, we can all like think that we're not taking from other people, but we are all influenced by other people. So yeah.
Well, and at the end of the day, it's going to be the same people at the top on this one.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Oh yeah.
You know,
super facts.
And so, you know, Dex and I were talking before we went live, you know, Andrea Nisler finished 9th in the individual.
Yep.
Rich finished, would have finished 5th had he posted his scores.
Crazy.
Good Lord.
Crazy.
So
Lord.
Mayhem's probably going to do well since they did well individually. I don't see that changing. And then your other affiliates that have always been there will be back.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is strictly like, you know, I'll 100% always say the cream rises, right? I 100% agree with that. But I just very like objectively as a person who programs and coaches, and also as a person who's taken part, you know, I expect you to put more effort into it. I think not that I'm anybody's put out or, you know, this is not mistreating people, just objectively as a person who's been involved for years, like that, this just seems pretty lazy. And I, you know, as far as like No Bull being a title sponsor and them having access to all those people who are involved in program, I don't see them mixing like church and state like that.
Yeah.
You know, just because I mean, I think and you know, even out in Las Vegas, like who's doing that? The underdog thing.
Justin Cutler.
Yeah. And so Cutler, but I mean, there's so many camps now, which I think is awesome. You know, I think it's cool that it's getting to where like it's getting to a point to where people can move, you know, you can relocate and work and make money. Maybe, I don't know how they're doing that. I assume it's through some kind of sponsorship stuff, but you know, I think that would be a little bit of mix in church and state to bring someone from a camp, because there's no way you can't bias to your athletes, right? I mean, nobody's programming so well-rounded that whatever you throw out there, your athlete's going to crush. No, you're going to program that. I mean, say Kotler programmed that last workout for the quarterfinals. That'd have been 225. Tell them Marquinhos would have done it the exact same way, right? Yeah. And so, you know, I don't see them doing that. I think as much as the curtain gets peeled back, I hope we learn more and more that it is by committee. That, you know, yeah. I think Dave is easing out of the villain character that he's traditionally had to play for, you know, and been that guy. So, you know, seeing them in the interviews with Andy Sakamoto, like it's a lot softer than it used to be. It's a lot, you know, it's way less him flipping the bird to you and all the statements and stuff like that. Like, hey, here's this pile of crap I'm gonna serve to you.
Maybe those become the committee. Maybe we don't know, you know, like that. Like I know Justin Berg is very big in the games and all that, but anyways, I'm excited. I mean, I do like the structure of what we're seeing. You know, we're seeing more predictability, which goes against the unknown, but at least it gives people an idea of what we can expect in the future.
Yeah, and see, I think the unknown was thrown out when you know, when you get into like 2013, 14 and on with the open, there's no unknown, right? Like wall walks is the unknown thing now, like circus tricks. So, I mean, you know, there's a collection of movements that have a ridiculous high percentage are going to be in the open just because they're limited. I think putting a GHD in some of that, I think they'll start testing movements in the quarterfinals to funnel back. I think everything works back, right? When it used to be games, regionals, into the open, you know, even something like handstand push-ups. So I think that'll be cool to see how they funnel things back. GHD is a horrible example. A lot of gyms don't have one at all, but
Right.
it'll be interesting going forward. And like I said before, when we talked about the individual workouts, I very much love this process. I think a set season is the best thing for the sport going forward. And we can all agree the sport is not the health and wellness aspect, which I think a lot of people got mixed when Greg kind of blew his cap and canceled regionals. That's awesome. I agree with what he was saying about that. And I've preached that for years. But, as far as the sport and going towards like professionalism, I know some people that make money are taking a hit because there are less opportunities with less sanctionals, but you can't drive a race car at race speed all the time. There's got to be a season. They have 16 games, 17 games in the NFL. There's a finite number of games in the NBA. They have an off season to repair, recover. And I think if it wants to be a professional sport and get the recognition they want in that kind of professional realm, that's how it has to be. And I like this flow. I think it's going to be great. Just very isolated incident for the team, quarterfinals 2021. This is not dropping the ball, just it's a little less tasty of a meal than I would have liked to eat.
Yeah, I think one more thing I want to add too with all of this going on, and I'm not sure exactly how we're going with this today, but is the other thing I really don't like about the format right now that I'm sensing is just like the individuals, these time crunches are so tight. And now you've got the time crunch of people with different jobs now trying to coordinate to get these workouts done in small windows when it's not just them as an individual. Now it's coordinating enough judges and enough, can we all get together at the same time for these workouts? So I do think that was the other thing that I see that's going to be it doesn't make it as fun for the team.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Well, it's an added element of stress that you don't need, right? And I think that'll be a transformation, kind of a growing pain into the next year, the caps for the times that are kind of unreasonable for people that I don't have the middle of the day open to get this done, or, I work at 5 a.m. I can't come in at 3 a.m. and do your quarterfinal workout. I have a job that pays my bills. Right. And so I think that'll be blown out next year I hope, that was a little unreasonable for some people. And I'd hate to see that's what keeps them out.
They could have done like Friday at midnight, Eastern.
You could do the same window as the open. Hey, here's all the workouts. There's so many. And I mean, there were 5 is a lot, right? And especially like we talked about the anatomy of the workouts for the individuals, right? Especially, I hate to keep focusing on it, but the GHD workout was kind of the soul crusher for everything after. But those 5 workouts, you're not going to cram redo into a Thursday to Monday night window. Maybe there's 1 or 2 you can, but that's going to happen anyway. And so, I think that'll get blown out, and I don't see that nobody's inconvenienced like that. And I think there's no advantage with you releasing, one, okay. Yeah. Like in the open, cool. I know people that'll run themselves into the ground and with redos. Awesome. But it's, a few days, you got till Monday night, take a few shots, but with 5, man, it's not going to happen. And you can take that cap off and make it inclusive like you're trying to do. And then nobody feels like they're wasting $50.
Yep.
And the coordination of, you would need at least 6 people. You're going to need 2 judges and the 4 team members all to be able to be there at the same time.
Yeah. And what if it's a gym that doesn't have an open gym, or they have a class going on at the only time these people can go? The business is going to trump this endeavor, right? Like if I'm a gym owner, hey man, really sorry, you guys do it in the parking lot if you can, but these members pay a thing every month just like you, and they come every day, not just during quarterfinals in the open. And they're just living a healthier life. So I mean, and Cheryl can agree. Like it's, they're not shutting it down and kicking you out, Scott, so they can do team quarterfinals.
Right.
So, but that gym is big enough to facilitate it. Now that made the move. So.
Well, I think we've pretty much beat that horse to death. We'll just wish the team members good luck this weekend.
Absolutely.
Hopefully they're not doing it for the second time, but I know many of them are, and we'll see how that all rolls out over the weekend. And we'll come back and do a wrap-up show, because we still want to see where everybody finishes and how that goes, and kind of announce who's going to move on to the semis.
And I'd love to eat the crow here, and I'm going to watch, and I'm very open to that. I could be very wrong. And, after looking at them at a glance, but, I'd love to eat that crow Monday. Hey man, we were wrong. These are very team heavy, coordinated heavy. It just happened to be the same workouts. So,
yeah. Well, with that, we'll let you go. This is the Clydesdale After Dark, and we'll see you in a couple days for a wrap-up show of the team quarterfinals.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yes, sir.